The galaxy was a living map. Bright lines of trade routes connected glowing dots of stars. Planets were marked with neat circles. Space stations appeared as tiny silver icons. Every pilot in human space knew the map by heart. But there was one thing every pilot also knew without ever speaking about it, where the map ended. At the edge of the holographic star charts, the lines stopped. The dots stopped. Everything stopped. Beyond that point, there was only blackness, a clean, sharp edge, like someone had sliced the galaxy in two, one half filled with light and life, the other half empty, silent, and unnamed. This was the border. The official name was Territorial Limit of Human Space, but no one called it that. Most pilots just called it the Edge. Captain Elias Caney sat in the cockpit of his freighter, the Silver Wing, staring at the glowing borderline on the screen. His next cargo run ended right there, on the very edge of the map. He had been flying ships for almost 20 years, hauling everything from food crates to dangerous alien tech, but in all that time, he had never been assigned a job so close to the border. The contract seemed simple. Deliver a shipment of refined ore to a mining station named Kessler 12, located on the farthest human colony before the map went dark. He had taken the job because the pay was good. Too good, in fact. Now, as the automated navigation plotted the route, he could feel a knot tightening in his stomach. He had heard the stories since childhood. Everyone had. No one crossed the border. Not military, not traders, not explorers. The official reason from the Galactic Fleet was that there was nothing beyond. No habitable worlds, no resources, no reason to go. But people whispered other reasons in spaceport bars, reasons that made the skin crawl. Some said there were things beyond the border, not alien civilizations, but shadows that moved like they were alive. Others spoke about entire ships disappearing only to drift back, months later with no crew inside, yet all systems still running. Some claimed that anyone who crossed the line came back different, if they came back at all. Elias had never believed much in ghost stories, but now, staring at that thin blue line on his nav map, he felt something he could not explain. A strange pressure, like the silence of deep space was leaning closer, listening. A soft beep pulled his attention back. Route confirmed, the ship's AI said in its calm female voice. Estimated travel time, 76 hours. Warning, approach will intersect galactic border. Clearance required. Elias sighed. Request clearance, he said. His voice sounded flat in the empty cockpit. There was a pause, then the AI replied, Clearance granted. Proceed with caution. That was odd. He had expected more checks, maybe even a human voice confirming it, but the system had simply let him through. He pushed the thought aside, leaned back in his chair, and watched the stars slide past as the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. The first day passed quietly. Elias read through cargo manifests, checked ship diagnostics, and half-listened to the low hum of the engines. But on the second day, the boredom broke. It began as a faint crackle. In the comm system, static was normal. Dust clouds, cosmic radiation, but this sounded rhythmic, almost like breathing. He tapped the console, adjusted the frequency, and the noise sharpened. Now it was a voice. Weak, distorted, but there. See? You. Elias froze. The voice repeated, We see you. He quickly ran a scan. No ship nearby, no station, no asteroid with a beacon. The signal seemed to come from empty space itself. His heartbeat picked up. Ship AI, he said slowly. Identify source of transmission. Unable to determine origin, the AI replied. Signal triangulation failed. Elias frowned. Failed? How can it fail? Source is non-local, the AI said. It is everywhere. The voice spoke again. We see you. Elias shut off the comm. He sat there staring at the dark view outside. He tried to tell himself it was some kind of interference, maybe a pirate trick, but deep down he didn't believe that. Something about the way the voice spoke, calm, almost polite, felt wrong. He decided to stop at a refueling outpost on the third day. It was a small station orbiting a lonely moon, mostly used by miners and smugglers. The air inside smelled faintly of oil and cheap alcohol. A few rough-looking spacers sat at the bar. Elias ordered a drink and asked the bartender, an older woman, with mechanical arms, "Ever heard of transmissions near the border?" Her eyes narrowed. "Why?" Picked up a weird one. No source. Just a voice saying, "We see you." The bartender put down the glass she was cleaning. "Don't joke about that," she said quietly. "I'm not joking." She leaned closer. "You should turn your ship around." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Because of a voice?" "Because that voice isn't the first," she said. "I've seen pilots come in here, same story. They hear it once, then a week later their ship comes back without them. You think I'm telling tales? Go ask the dockmaster how many ghost ships he's logged this year." Elias didn't reply. He drank the rest of his drink and left. Back in the cockpit, he stared at the nav map again. The border was only a few light hours away now. It glowed faintly on the screen, a thin blue curve across the black. It looked harmless. Just a line, but the voice came back. "You are close." Elias swallowed. "AI, is the comm off?" "Yes." Then, "How am I hearing? Turn back." The lights in the cockpit flickered. The AI's voice stuttered. "Warning, systems interference. Source?" And then the voice in the ship changed. It was the same tone as before, but clearer now, closer. "Cross the line, and you will see." The console beeped, drawing his eyes down. A new icon had appeared on the map, just beyond the border. A red dot, pulsing slowly. No ID, no coordinates, no description. Just there, waiting. Elias leaned back in his chair. His breath felt heavy in his chest. Whatever this was, it was no random glitch. Something out there wanted him to cross. The stars ahead glittered cold and bright. The line on the map crept closer with each passing second. Elias felt the hum of the engines steady and low, carrying him toward the place every instinct told him to avoid. And yet, he didn't stop. Because beyond human space lay nothing, or so they claimed. The border was close now. From the cockpit window, it was just empty space, black and silent. But on the holographic map, it was a glowing blue curve stretching from one side of the screen to the other. Beyond that, nothing. No stars, no routes, no data. Captain Elias Caney had spent years in deep space, but this was different. He could feel it in his bones, a pressure building the closer he got. The air in the ship seemed heavier, the shadows deeper. Then the voice returned. "We see you." Elias's hands froze above the control panel. The words were soft, almost gentle, but they made his skin crawl. He glanced at the comm system, still switched off. This wasn't a normal transmission. It was coming through in a way he couldn't explain. "AI," he said carefully. "Are you receiving this?" "Yes," the ship's AI replied. "Audio anomaly detected. No origin found." The voice spoke again, louder now. "You are not alone." Elias checked the radar. Nothing. Not a single blip within sensor range. But the voice didn't stop. "Turn away." "Is this a warning?" Elias asked aloud, unsure if the thing could even hear him. There was a pause, then a sound like faint static, followed by the words, "It is too late." Elias swallowed hard. He forced himself to look out into the black. His mind told him it was just empty space. His instincts told him otherwise. That night, if you could call it night in the endless dark, he couldn't sleep. He sat in the pilot's chair, watching the stars crawl past. Every now and then the voice would return, whispering short sentences. The words made no sense, but the feeling behind them did. It was watching him. Then something new happened. A tone, deep and sharp, rang through the cockpit. The map display flickered. For a second, the blue border vanished, and in its place, dozens of red dots appeared. They weren't on any known chart. They pulsed like a heartbeat. The AI's voice cut in. Unregistered contacts detected. No mass readings, no heat signatures. How can there be contacts with no mass? Elias asked. Unknown, the AI replied. The red dots began to move. Slowly at first, then faster. They were coming toward him. Elias tightened his grip on the controls, but his ship wasn't designed for combat. If this was an attack, there was nothing he could do. He waited, watched, and then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the dots stopped. The voice returned. We are close now. The red dots blinked out of existence. When the comm system chimed again, Elias almost didn't touch it, but curiosity won. The screen lit up with an incoming message. No sender, no encryption, just raw audio. It was the same voice, but clearer than ever. We see you, Elias Caney. We have always seen you. Elias froze. It knew his name. He opened his mouth to speak, but the voice continued. You will cross. We will speak again, soon. The transmission cut off. The cockpit was silent again, except for the low hum of the engines. Elias leaned back in his seat, staring at the blue curve of the border on the map. It was less than 2 hours away now. He could still turn back. He could still end this trip, dump the cargo, and forget the voice ever existed. But he didn't, because part of him wanted to know who or what was waiting beyond that line. And part of him was afraid that even if he turned back now, it would still find him. The silver wing drifted into the Kessler outpost docking bay with a low metallic groan. Kessler was not much to look at, just a cluster of metal rings wrapped around a thin central spire, hanging in orbit over a frozen moon. It wasn't built for beauty, it was built for trade. But to Elias Kane, it looked like a chance to breathe before his final jump toward the border. He stepped through the airlock into the station's main concourse. The air smelled of engine oil, stale food, and recycled oxygen. The place was dimly lit with flickering signs advertising parts, fuel, and questionable entertainment. Miners in dust-stained suits moved past him, while spacers sat in shadowy corners drinking and pretending not to listen to anyone else. Elias found the bar almost without thinking. Old habit. Pilots learned more in bars than in any official briefing. He ordered a drink, sat at the counter, and let his eyes wander. That's when he noticed the man sitting 2 stools away. Thin, weathered face, eyes like cracked glass. His jacket was patched with symbols from old shipping companies, some of which had gone bankrupt decades ago. The kind of man who had been in space so long, he had more star maps in his head than any computer. You heading to the border? The man asked without looking at Elias. Elias raised an eyebrow. What makes you think that? The man took a slow drink before answering. Only 2 kinds of pilots come through here, miners and the ones stupid enough to point their ships at that line. Elias didn't answer. He didn't have to. The man's faint smile told him he'd guessed right. They still don't talk about it, do they? The man said. The ships, the ones that come back. What ships? Elias asked. The man turned his head for the first time, and Elias saw the truth in his eyes. This wasn't a story for entertainment. This was something the man had seen. They call them ghost ships, the man said. Freighters, patrol craft, even a cruiser once. All went across the border, all came back empty. No crew, no logs. Sometimes the air's gone, sometimes it's still there, just no one breathing it. And the strangest part? The engines are always running. Perfect condition. Elias frowned. If they came back, why doesn't Fleet investigate? The man laughed, a short, dry sound. Who says they don't? They tow him away in the dead of night. You never see him again. Elias took a sip of his drink, letting the words sink in. You've seen one? The man nodded slowly. 5 years ago, I was hauling scrap near the edge. Saw a cargo hauler drifting, no lights, no beacon. Thought I'd make some easy credit salvaging it. Docked my ship, went inside, and I swear to you, Caney, it was warm, like the crew had just stepped out for a smoke. Food still on the table. Coffee still in the cups. Not a single sign of struggle, just gone. Elias said nothing. The man's voice dropped to a whisper. I left. Didn't take a damn thing. And as I was leaving, the lights came on. By themselves. Every hallway, every room, like the ship was watching me. A chime from the station loudspeakers broke the silence. All pilots prepare for departure window. Elias glanced at the clock. His scheduled slot for the final jump to Kessler 12 was about to open. The man was already turning back to his drink. One more thing, Elias said. If you've seen all that, why are you still here? Why not leave this sector? The man's faint smile returned. Leave? No point. The things beyond the border, they don't care about distance. Back aboard the Silver Wing, Elias sat in the cockpit as the docking clamps released. His mind replayed the old man's words. Ghost ships. Crews gone without. A trace. Lights turning on as if the ship itself was alive. He told himself it was just a story to scare outsiders. But as the station grew smaller in the rear display and the blue curve of the border grew larger ahead, he couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't a story at all. The comm crackled. We see you. Elias gripped. The controls tighter. This time, he didn't bother asking the AI to track it. He already knew it wouldn't find anything. The border was only hours away now, and whatever waited beyond it was waiting for him. The border glowed on the navigation map like a thin scar across the galaxy. It wasn't a real wall, no fence, no shield, but every pilot who had ever flown close to it swore they could feel it. Even before you crossed, something in the air changed. The silence felt heavier. The stars seemed farther away. Captain Elias Caney watched the blue curve grow larger on his screen. The Silver Wing's engines purred steadily, carrying him toward the one place no sane pilot entered. His cargo delivery to Kessler 12 had been the excuse, but deep down, he knew that wasn't why he was here anymore. He wanted answers. About the voice. About the red dots. About what the smuggler had called ghost ships. The AI's voice interrupted his thoughts. Approaching galactic border. Warning. Navigation data beyond this point is unavailable. Elias exhaled slowly. Understood. The stars ahead looked normal. That was the strangest part. On the outside, nothing seemed different. But as the minutes passed, he began to notice small things. The hum of the ship's systems seemed to shift in pitch. The shadows in the cockpit stretched a little too far. The black between the stars looked thicker. Crossing designated boundary in 30 seconds, the AI said. A faint chill spread through the cabin. Elias glanced at the temperature readout. No change. He adjusted in his seat, eyes locked on the dark ahead. 20 seconds. The comm system popped with static. You are here. 10 seconds. Keep going. 5. We are waiting. The moment the ship crossed the invisible line, everything changed. The stars vanished. 1 second they were there, cold, distant points of light, and the next, nothing but black. No planets, no suns, no dust clouds, just an endless, perfect darkness. It wasn't the kind of dark you got when you turned out a light. This was heavy, solid, like a vast ocean with no surface. The AI's voice crackled. Warning, optical data failure, sensor range, offline. Elias tapped the controls, but every display showed the same thing, empty space in every direction. He couldn't even see the glowing border behind him. It was as if the silver wing had been swallowed whole. The voice returned, louder and clearer than ever. "Welcome." Elias's skin prickled. "Who are you?" he asked into the black. There was no answer, only a low, deep vibration through the hull, like something enormous was moving nearby. "AI, can you locate—" Static exploded in his ears. The displays flickered, and for a fraction of a second, an image flashed on the screen. A shape, too large to comprehend, drifting in the dark. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't even a creature, not exactly. It was something in between, and it was close. Then the image was gone. The AI's voice returned, but now it sounded wrong, slower, as if something was speaking through it. "You are in the black zone now, Elias Caney." Elias gripped the controls. "How do you know my—" "You will see the truth, or you will not return." A sudden motion caught his eye. A faint shimmer ahead, not light, but something like heat distortion in a hot desert. As he steered toward it, the shimmer shifted, almost like it was avoiding him. The voice whispered one last time before the comm went dead. "Follow, if you dare." Elias didn't know if it was a trap or an invitation, but the black zone wasn't going to let him leave easily. And somewhere in that darkness, something was waiting to be found. The shimmer drifted through the dark like a mirage. Captain Elias Caney kept the silver wing on a slow approach, eyes fixed on the strange distortion ahead. It wasn't light. Not really. It was more like the blackness was bending, as if something invisible was moving through it. The controls felt heavier in his hands. The engines, still steady, now carried a faint echo, almost like another hum layered beneath their normal sound. He didn't like it. In space, noise meant trouble. The AI's voice, still distorted from whatever had touched it earlier, spoke again. "Warning! We are leaving all known navigational reference points." Elias smirked bitterly. "We left those the moment we crossed the line." The shimmer grew larger, moving like it had a mind of its own, sliding left when he turned, toward it, slowing when he tried to speed up. He had the strange feeling it was testing him. Then it stopped. Right in front of him, maybe 100 meters away. The distortion swirled in place. The darkness rippled outward, revealing something. It was not a ship, not in the human sense. It had no straight lines, no clear edges. It looked like a massive fragment of glass floating in space, its surface shifting like liquid metal. Inside it, Elias saw flickers of movement, shapes he didn't recognize, bending and twisting as if they were underwater. A low vibration ran through the hull, deep enough to rattle his bones. The comm clicked on without his touch. "You cross," the voice said. "You see?" Elias's hand hovered over the throttle. "And if I don't?" There was a pause. Then the voice replied, colder. "Then we will come to you." Elias felt the skin on his neck tighten. He pushed the throttle forward. The silver wing moved toward the strange glass-like object. The closer he came, the less sense it made. Stars began to reappear, but not the same stars he had left behind. These were twisted, their colors wrong. Some moved, sliding across the sky like fish in water. Others pulsed, blinking in and out of existence. The AI's sensors flickered back online just long enough to display an impossible reading. Location unknown. Time unknown. The glass-like surface began to split, slowly like a curtain pulling. Aside, it opened to reveal a tunnel of shifting light. The edges shimmered with colors Elias had no name for. His breath caught. This was no natural phenomenon. It was a gateway. The voice spoke again, almost gently this time. "Go through, Elias Kane. Your map ends here. Ours begins." He hesitated. His instincts screamed to turn back. But the truth, the thing that had been gnawing at him since he left port, was stronger. He needed to know what was on the other side. The Silver Wing passed through the opening. The moment the ship crossed, everything changed again. Gravity twisted in his stomach. The cockpit lights dimmed to a sickly yellow. The stars outside were gone, replaced by vast, drifting shapes that glowed faintly in the distance. They were moving slowly, but each was larger than any ship he'd ever seen, larger than cities. And then he realized they were watching him. The shapes drifted in the distance, slow and silent. At first, Captain Elias Caney thought they were giant asteroids glowing faintly in the dark. But the longer he looked, the less they seemed like rock and more like something else. They moved, with purpose. Their glow wasn't steady. It pulsed, as if beating in rhythm. One of them turned. Elias didn't know how he could tell. There were no clear eyes, no face. But he felt it. It was looking at him. The Silver Wing's hull vibrated softly, as though something unseen had brushed against it. The AI flickered back to life, voice still slow and distorted. "Proximity alert. Unidentified mass. Approaching." Elias's hands tightened on the controls. "Can we move?" "Yes. But it is following." The nearest shadow came closer. It was enormous, stretching wider than the biggest fleet carrier Elias had ever seen. Its edges shifted constantly, like smoke, trapped in glass. Inside its semi-transparent form, dim lights floated, too organized to be random. They moved in patterns, almost like thought. The voice returned over the comm, clear now, deep and calm. "You are not where you belong." Elias swallowed. "Then where am I?" "In a place without your kind." He tried to keep his voice steady, and yet, here I am. Another shape slid into view from above, moving silently, blocking what little light there was. Its sheer size made the Silver Wing feel like an insect. Elias's sensors still read nothing. No mass, no temperature, no life signs. As far as the ship's systems knew, nothing was there at all. The voice continued, softer this time. "We watched your kind build your map. We saw where you stopped it. And we saw why." A third shadow glided past the cockpit window, so close that Elias could see strange markings along its surface. They weren't random. They looked carved, like writing, though no language he recognized. His gaze lingered too long, and for a moment the symbols seemed to shift into something he almost understood. Then his vision blurred, and he had to look away. The AI beeped suddenly. "Warning! Hull integrity! Compromised!" Elias checked the panels. No breaches, no damage. "Compromised how?" The AI hesitated before answering. "Something is inside." The cockpit lights dimmed, then slowly returned. Elias felt the temperature drop, not physically, but in a way that made his skin prickle, as if something unseen had stepped into the room. He gripped the controls, his voice low. "What do you want from me?" The answer came at once, filling the cockpit like a breath of cold air. "To remember." The shadows around him began to move again, circling the Silver Wing in slow, deliberate arcs. They weren't attacking. Not yet. But Elias could feel it. He had been chosen for something, and whatever it was, it had only just begun. The shadows circled the Silver Wing in complete silence. Captain Elias Caney sat in the pilot's chair, hands still on the controls, but he didn't move. He knew it wouldn't matter. These things weren't following him. They were surrounding him. Then one of them broke away. It drifted toward the ship, slow but certain, like a predator deciding on its prey. As it drew closer, Elias saw it more clearly. The faint glow inside its shifting body brightened, revealing dozens, No, hundreds of moving shapes. They swirled together like a storm, forming patterns that almost looked like eyes, watching him. The ship's AI spoke in a hushed tone, as if afraid. Contact. Distance, 20 meters. No physical reading. Elias kept his voice steady. Open comm channel. The comm clicked on, but before he could speak, the voice came through, clearer than ever, deep enough to rattle in his chest. You have crossed into our space, Elias swallowed. I didn't come to fight. There is no fight here, the voice said. Only truth. Without warning, the front viewport darkened. At first, Elias thought it was damage, but then he realized the shadow was pressing closer, against the glass. The cockpit filled with a dim bluish light as its glowing patterns shifted again. The voice was no longer coming through the comm. It was inside his head. You want to know why your map ends here? Yes, Elias said quietly. His breath fogged in the chilled air. Because what lies beyond is not for you. It is not for your kind. Elias gritted his teeth. Then why am I here? The light inside the shadow pulsed. Because you chose to see. A sudden wave of pressure rolled through the cabin, not wind, not sound, but something deeper pressing on. His mind. Memories surfaced without his control, the smuggler's story, the voice in the dark, the moment the stars disappeared. But they felt different now, as if someone else was looking at them through his eyes. You've been watching us, Elias said. We have always watched. We mark where you end and where you must not go. The shadow shifted, pulling back slightly. For the first time, Elias noticed something beyond it. A structure faint in the distance, huge and still. It wasn't a planet or a station. It was something older. Something that didn't belong to humans or any race he knew. What is that? He asked. The voice didn't answer directly. Leave now, and you will not see it. Stay, and you will not return. The shadow slowly drifted back toward the others. The light inside it dimmed, and Elias could feel the connection in his head fading. The AI's voice returned, weak but functional. Comlink restored. Unknown object detected at extreme range. Elias stared at the distant structure. The warning echoed in his mind, but so did the truth. He couldn't turn back now. Somewhere out there, beyond the Watchers, was the reason. The galactic map ended, and he was going to see it. The distant structure grew larger with every passing minute. Captain Elias Caney kept the Silver Wing on a slow approach, the Watchers still moving silently in the dark around him. They didn't stop him, but they didn't leave either, like escorts, or maybe guards. The more he stared at the structure, the less sense it made. Parts of it looked like towers, others like the twisted roots of some enormous tree. It was not, made of metal alone. Something else was in its design, something that felt alive. The AI's voice was calm but faint. Analyzing object, no record found in any known database, estimated age, unmeasurable. Elias leaned forward. Unmeasurable? Yes. Material scans are inconsistent. The object appears to be older than the galaxy. He didn't answer. He was too busy trying to process what he was seeing. A ripple passed through the nearest shadow, and the voice returned, inside his mind again. This is the anchor. Elias frowned. Anchor for what? For your kind, for your limit. Without it, you would wander too far. His grip on the controls tightened. You mean the border? The border is not a line on a map. It is a warning. We placed it where your kind would listen. Elias's thoughts raced. Why only humans? Why not the other races? The shadow pulsed, faintly. They do not hear like you do. They would not notice the warning. They would not survive what comes next. What comes next? Elias asked. For the first time, the voice's tone shifted. It was heavier now, colder. Beyond this place is not space as you know it. It is not safe. It changes those who enter. We have seen it before. Your kind is vulnerable. Elias stared at the anchor. Its vast surface seemed to shift slowly, revealing shapes and markings that might have been writing or scars. He felt an ache in his chest, the weight of understanding settling in. The border wasn't about keeping humans out of someone's territory. It was about keeping them away from something else. Then why show me this? He asked. The voice's answer came quickly. Because you are already marked. You crossed. We cannot unsee you, and you cannot go back unchanged. A cold shiver ran down Elias's spine. He realized then that maybe the real danger wasn't in front of him, but inside him, already growing. The AI chimed. Unidentified motion detected near anchor structure. Elias looked closer. There was movement, small at first, then larger. Shapes were detaching from the anchor, gliding toward him. These weren't like the Watchers. They were faster, sharper, with jagged forms that caught the faint light. The voice in his head spoke one last time. Leave now, or meet what lies beyond. Elias didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the approaching shapes. Whatever was coming, he had to see it, because now he wasn't just chasing answers. He was chasing the truth behind the end of the map. The jagged shapes moved quickly, cutting through the darkness toward the silver wing. Captain Elias Caney kept his ship steady, eyes fixed on them. At first, he thought they were machines, drones sent to warn him away. But as they drew closer, he saw details that made his stomach tighten. They had hull plating like ships, yes, but not alien ships, human ships. They were broken and twisted, their metal bent at unnatural angles. Some still carried faded names along the sides, letters, barely readable, swallowed by scorch marks and deep scratches. Elias recognized one instantly. Horizon's Wake, a deep space exploration vessel that had vanished 20 years ago. The AI's voice was uneasy. Multiple derelicts detected. Designs match pre-border human models. These should not be here. Elias's voice was low. They crossed. The derelicts weren't drifting aimlessly. They moved together, as if guided by something unseen. Some of them were cracked open, showing empty corridors inside, but Elias swore he saw shadows moving in those corridors, too fast, too fluid to be human. One of the Watchers spoke in his mind again, voice like distant thunder. They were like you. They saw the line and stepped over it. What happened to them? Elias asked. They stayed. Elias waited for more, but the voice fell silent. The Watchers kept their distance, as though unwilling to go closer to the derelicts. The ship circled the silver wing, slow and deliberate. Elias's cockpit lights flickered, and the temperature dropped again. The AI sputtered. Warning, unidentified signal intrusion. Origin unknown. A hiss came through the comm, soft at first, then shaping into words. Elias, is that you? His blood went cold. The voice was human, weak, distorted, but human. This is Captain Elias Caney. Who is this? Help. We can't leave. The signal cracked and faded. The derelict nearest to him tilted, exposing a dark opening in its hull. Inside, faint lights blinked on and off, like something was inviting him in. The AI's voice was urgent now. Recommendation, retreat immediately. Further approach may be irreversible. Elias ignored it. He had to know. The silver wing inched, closer to the open derelict. As the shadows of its broken frame passed over his ship, Elias felt something press against his mind, a pressure that wasn't trying to speak, only push. It wanted him to turn back. He didn't. Inside, the blinking. Lights revealed shapes, suits, dozens of human suits, still standing as if their wearers were alive. But the visors were black, and something inside moved in slow, unnatural motions. One of them turned toward him. The comm hissed again, but the voice was different this time. Lower, layered, wrong. "You should not have come," Elias gripped. The controls, torn between fear and curiosity. If these were the ones who had crossed before him, then they were the final proof. The border wasn't superstition. It was a wall to keep this from returning to human space. And yet, he still wanted to see more. Because somewhere inside this graveyard of lost explorers, there was the truth about what lay beyond, and maybe a way to cross even further. The Silver Wing hovered beside the broken derelict, its running lights dim against the vast shadow of the lost ship. Captain Elias Caney kept one hand on the controls, the other hovering over the thruster trigger. He didn't trust what he was seeing inside. Those unmoving suits, their black visors, the slow motions within. He told himself he would take one last scan, then leave. The AI's voice broke the silence. "Multiple motion readings detected. One approaching fast." Elias's eyes darted to the open hull of the derelict. One of the suits was no longer standing in place. It was floating toward the gap, toward him. Its movements were slow but deliberate, like it wasn't in a hurry because it knew he wouldn't get away. The comm hissed again. "Don't leave us." Elias frowned. "Who are you?" The voice came back, clearer this time but wrong, layered, like several voices speaking at once. "We are what remains." The suit drifted out into open space now, moving without thrusters, without any visible propulsion. It came straight for the Silver Wing. The closer it got, the more Elias saw the distortion around it, like heat waves bending the stars behind it. The AI's readings scrambled. Warning. Object's physical composition unstable. Recommend immediate retreat. Elias flicked the thrusters. The Silver Wing slid sideways, putting distance between him and the suit. For a moment, it worked. The suit drifted past where he'd been, but then it turned. No push from jets, no rotation from drifting mass. It just faced him again. The Watchers, still circling in the distance, pulsed faintly. One spoke in his mind. "It has chosen you." Elias swallowed. "What does that mean?" "You cannot leave without it now. It will follow." The suit was closer. Too close. Elias fired the engines hard, pulling away from the derelict. The stars blurred as the Silver Wing accelerated. For several tense seconds, the suit was gone from view. Then the AI spoke again. "Object reacquired. Distance, 50 meters. Closing." Elias's chest tightened. No matter how far he went, it would still be there. The comm hissed a final time. "You crossed. Now you carry us back." Elias didn't know what it meant, but he understood one thing. Whatever this thing was, it wanted to leave the border, and it was using him to do it. And if he crossed back into human space with it, the border wouldn't matter anymore. The Silver Wing surged forward, its engines burning at maximum power. Captain Elias Caney didn't look back. He didn't have to. The AI's readings told him the thing was still there. Always there. 50 meters. 49. 48. No. Matter what speed he hit. It closed in like distance didn't matter. The edge of the border lay ahead. Elias could see it now, not as a line but as a thin shimmer in space, stretching endlessly in both directions. It looked like heat rising from asphalt, warping the stars beyond. The AI's sensors failed to measure it, only reporting unknown barrier detected. The Watchers appeared again, sliding silently into his path. Their dark shapes blocked the shimmer. One of them spoke into his mind, urgent now. "You cannot return. It will follow you. It will spread." Elias gritted his teeth. "Then help me get rid of it." It is too late. It has bound itself to you. I'm going back. The watchers pulsed, and for the first time they moved aggressively, closing in, boxing him in from all sides. Their shadows lengthened unnaturally, stretching across the void toward his ship. The AI's alarms filled the cockpit. Warning! Multiple collision courses. Evasive action required. Elias dodged hard, the silver wing twisting between two watchers. Behind him, the thing still came, its form shifting now, no longer bound to the shape of a suit. It stretched and bent in impossible ways, like liquid shadow leaking across space. Its jagged edges tore at the void itself, leaving thin cracks of pure darkness. The voice came again, layered and wrong. "We are almost home." The shimmer of the border was only minutes away now. The AI reported rapidly changing readings, as if the barrier itself sensed what was coming. The watchers struck, not with weapons, but with force. Waves of pure pressure that rattled the ship and pushed it off course. Elias fought the controls, engines screaming. He pushed harder, cutting around another shadow, then another. Every second, the thing gained ground. Then one of the watchers broke formation, moving ahead of him. It stopped directly in front of the border, its form expanding until it covered almost all of the shimmering field. The voice in his mind was cold now. "Turn back, or you doom them all." Elias stared at the barrier, the watcher, and the darkness behind him that was getting closer every second. His hand shook, but his voice was steady. "I've come too far to stop now." The engines roared, the border shimmered, and the thing behind him whispered, almost with joy, "Yes, bring us through." The silver wing shot forward, engines, screaming under the strain. The massive watcher in front of the border pulsed once, bright, blinding, and then split apart, giving way. Elias didn't know if it was a warning or a surrender. The border shimmered like liquid glass, rippling in every direction. As the ship neared it, the AI's voice began to break apart. "Captain, signal distortion, unknown, entering." The rest was lost in static. Elias braced himself as the silver wing hit the barrier. There was no impact, no flash, just a sudden silence, as if the entire universe had held its breath. Then the stars shifted, clean, bright, familiar. Human space. He had crossed back. For a moment, there was only relief. The comm channels lit up with signals from nearby patrol stations. Human voices. Clear, warm, alive. "Unidentified vessel, this is Border Command. You are in restricted airspace. Identify yourself." "This is Captain Elias Caney," he replied. "Requesting immediate docking," the voice cut in sharply. "Captain, something's wrong with your ship." Elias frowned. "Define wrong." There was a pause, then the patrol officer spoke again, quieter. "It's following you." Elias's stomach sank. He looked at the rear cameras. It was there, blacker than space itself, shifting like smoke in water. Only now it was bigger, stronger. Its jagged edges pulsed with faint red light like a heartbeat. And it wasn't clinging to his ship anymore. It was drifting forward, toward human space. The watchers hadn't followed him through. The border shimmered faintly behind, but it no longer mattered. The thing had crossed. "Captain, we're scrambling." "Fighters!" the patrol voice began, but it cut off mid-sentence. Static filled the channel. Then another voice came through. Not human, not one, many. "We are here." Elias sat frozen, the comms hissing in his ears. His last transmission, sent moments before the patrol stations went dark, was only 6 words. "Close the border. It's too late."